time here. Starting to get real cool and cagey in this test match racing is Pitbull Bob. There's a good start. Sory's got away well on the outside. And a 3-all situation, remember, is all that the Yanks want. And John Sory's, the team captain driving the Charlie Schwartz car, is out in front. Now, can he keep it together? Sory's is the leader. Now, Bob Brewer's got to get him. If they just keep this 3-all situation going for the remainder of the heats, then they are going to be in a winning situation. I tell you what, Sory's has got a real go on in this Charlie Schwartz car. Down main straightaway. Piney's gone and Scott Blomqvist is about to get him. Oh, Pine's all over the joint. Well, John Pine lost it, the advantage.
As they get ready for the acceleration zone, lights start to flash. Schwartz up the front with Bob Brewer. Sory's on the second row of the grid with Ron Pine. Not a bad start even, they got through. Schwartz has got to the lead as they go into the first turn. Bob Brewer searching for a way around the outside. Ron Pine tried to come up on the inside of him too, and Sory's, you can forget about him at the tail of the field. They've got to try and get out after Charlie Schwartz at the moment. Schwartz drifted a little bit high there too. He's Bob Brewer now starting to give chase. Get behind Bob Brewer. We can get him up in front of Charlie Schwartz here. Brewer now, he seems to get an extra lease of life. Schwartz pulled away a little bit there and sets himself well for the corner. Brewer now starting to attack as they come down the main straightaway. Schwartz though opened up a little bit of a break though. Bob Brewer's got to be right on the pace here. Ron Pine holding onto that third spot and Sory's his tail off at the moment. Down back straightaway they go under the Hunter Communications timer and they'll only get one lap to go from here. Charlie Schwartz looks like he's got this one covered. Bob Brewer trying desperately to get up closer to him, but he can't seem to make any ground. Charlie Schwartz is just driving too good a line, and as Ross said, too cool, calm and collected. He's only got to negotiate turn 3-4. Brewer has one last dive at him, but Schwartz is too good, and he comes home to take the heat ahead of Bob Brewer. And Ron Pine nearly went to sleep there on the finishing line. He just got up for third spot ahead of John Sory's, who failed to score in a time of 1 minute 3.759.
Oh, you were right there, Joel. Ron Pine very nearly went to really right behind the 8 ball. They're not out of it, but gee, they've got some tough work to do in the last 4 heats. This is heat 8. And Blomqvist on the outside, race straight to the lead. McEwen tries to go up on the inside with him. McEwen on the inside, Blomqvist on the outside. McEwen inside, Blomqvist outside. Don McEwen won't give in. The Aussies start to cheer, and here comes Steve Francis. Steve Francis up on the inside now. Francis drives straight through. Oh, this guy can drive. Francis goes through to the lead. That'll do for the Americans. They don't want any more. Blomqvist backs off right in front of John Pine. He couldn't do anything else because Don McEwen had backed off as well. Steve Francis has turned it on in heat number 8. He came from 3rd place in this heat, remember, and he's grabbed the lead and is going away with it. Don McEwen balked again coming through that corner. Scott Blomqvist is 3rd. John Pine's out of the action, and America are virtually going to wrap it up right here and now, I would think. Coming down main straight away, it's Steve Francis, the guy that has got it. Here's Scott Blomqvist having a go at Donnie McEwen on the line, but Don McEwen held on. Blomqvist finished 3rd in a time of 1 minute 2.642. And let's check the Tetron Engineering scoreboard. USA 3, Steve Francis in a... So this is heat number 9. 4 heats remain, 14 points the difference. If the Americans win this one, the Australians are virtually gone. No start. No start to go. They're still out of the action. The Australians must win this heat as Ron Pine goes up on the outside to try and get by the Steve Francis car, but he can't do it. Steve Francis will now have a very, very big lead. He's a fast driver. And the race leader is Steve Francis. Francis leads. Oh, the front end's gone on the Blomqvist car, but it's not slowing him down, and he's still going, but he's not going to be able to be competitive. The race leader is Steve Francis, followed by Ron Pine and Don McEwen. And this is virtually going to put the test match right out of the Australians' reach. Coming into main straight away, 1 to go. Steve Francis, again, being very, very impressive tonight. Well, you still can't take anything away from a super driver, and I tell you what, this guy is a super driver, this Steve Francis. He comes down to score another victory. Second place goes to Ron Pine. Third place goes to Don McEwen. Scott Blomqvist fails to score, and a time of 1 minute 1.560. So on the scoreboard, USA's Steve Francis scores 3 points. Australia's Ron Pine scores 2 points. And the 7 of Don McEwen scores 1 point. Scott Blom. Away they go. John Pine on the inside, Charlie Schwartz on the outside. Bob Brewer tucks up on the inside to look for a 1-2. Now Bob Brewer goes through and Charlie Schwartz is persisting with the outside line. John Pine, Bob Brewer, he now switches up high on Charlie Schwartz. And he's popped the tyre. He's not going to finish. Can he drive and finish the race? No, he hasn't popped the tyre. So it is a 5-0 to Australia. The Americans have got to get one car going or they're going to lose this test match by a point. It ain't over yet. The fat lady hasn't sung. Down the main straightaway. And John Pine and Bobby Brewer, the Aussie fans, get a new lease of life. Another situation comes over this miraculous test match. We've had everything in this test match tonight. Down to take the checkered flag, and John Pine is first, Bob Brewer is second, and there's no Americans in sight. One. But they've got to do it to score the 5 points. So away they go. Brewer and McEwen locking up the 5 points for the Australians. They're not going to have any problems doing that. Now the interesting situation here is that a 5-1 to Australia in the last heat squares the test match. If Australia can run 1-2 in this last heat, the test match will be squared. So the Americans have got to get a point to stay in it. You couldn't believe the finish to this test match tonight. Will the Americans have 2 cars? So they come down to the checkered flag. So there it is, 2-1, 3 points to Brewer. And 2 points to McEwen. Now we've got Ron Pine and John Pine taking on, that looks like Steve Francis, I think. USA 34, Australia 30. The Australians must get a 1-2 finish to win the test. To square the test. Now they're going to play some cat and mouse. Ron Pine on pole position, Scott Blomqvist. Now that is definitely Steve Francis. Steve Francis is in the 2 car. Blomqvist is in the 4. No start, no. Still the tension is too great. Ron Pine knows that he's got to run a 1-2 here with his brother John Pine. Steve Francis knows that he's got to run second. If he runs second, he sews up the test match. There's the start. Francis up on the outside of Ron Pine. Australia have got to get to the lead. Scott Bloomquist goes up on the inside of John Pine. Francis is the leader. Ron Pine is trying to come back at him. He won't give in. Steve Francis leads out. Ron Pine and Scott Bloomquist. They're going to sew it up for the Americans. Well, you just couldn't believe. Oh, Ron Pine's gone. Ron Pine's gone. Now, he should stop. No, the steward stopped it. Oh, gee, I think Ron Pine can think himself lucky there that the steward stopped the race.
The draw level. In the acceleration zone they come. Francis and Bloomquist on front row. Come on, the Aussies. The green flag falls. Bloomquist got away well, and Francis just did that. He tucked back in behind. Ron Pine, though, comes through the middle. He's trying to search his way through. He knows he's got to get up the front. Now John Pine comes in underneath in third spot. It's Bloomquist out in front. Francis in second place, but it looks like they're just going to cruise around 1-2 at the moment. But Bloomquist out in front. Francis in second place. Australia don't look to be making any ground at all. John Pine in third place at the moment, and Ron Pine tail off at the rear of the field. Bloomquist got a little bit high. I think he might have let Francis come through there for a minute, but he won't. They're just going to sit up front, and they're going to kill this test series. It's Bloomquist out in front. He's only got half a lap to go, and the Americans look like they take it out this year. The test series down to the finish line, the checkered flag, and it's the US 4. Oh, Bloomquist takes it out. Second goes to Steve Francis. Third place, John Pine, eventually will come across the line after getting all crossed up. He finishes in third spot. No time recorded due to the race stoppages. And the Yanks have done it. I hate to say it, but they've taken out the second test and the series. 2-0 here at the Newcastle Motordrome. We'll just go over that final heat. It was a US 4 of Bloomquist. Took the 3 points. 2 points went to Steve Francis in the US 3 car. 1 point going to John Pine for Australia, and Ron Pine failing to score a point in the final heat, giving America the second test, 39 points to 31, an 8-point margin over Australia. And they looked gone for all money at the start of the meeting. A few cars blew up on them. They had to swap parts and see if they could get at least 2 cars running. And you've got to hand it to them. They've done a superb job here tonight to wrap up.